I need to explain the literature log. This top part, well, first I'm going to go ahead and download it. So this section right here at the top is actually what you do at the end. Okay, they just put it up there. It's like a reflection on how you did reading these pages. And it's pretty simple. And the first question is the level of grit, level of effort that you put in, with 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. I just want you to be honest. Did you try hard on this literature log, on the reading? So what was your effort level? And help from others. Did you receive any help from others? Did you talk about it with another student and ask them? Did you, sometimes yes, you discussed it. That's fine. And these are the page numbers, again, as a reminder. The good reader strategies used, good reader strategies like before reading strategies and the during reading strategies, just list 1 or 2 that you might have used. For example, I set a purpose. That would be a good reader strategy. I set a purpose. Or I stopped after every section and I monitored my comprehension. Time it took me to complete. Guesstimate, or you may be doing 20 minutes a day, like I said, but if you do 20 minutes a day, it might take you 80 minutes total to read pages 3 through 72. It might have taken you an hour. It might have taken you, I don't know. You can also put it in days if you want to. That's okay. It took me 4 days to do this. All right. And then the confidence in my understanding of the text. Did you understand pages 3 through 72? 1 being, no, I'm clueless. And 5 being, I absolutely understand. So that you do when? Now the before reading part is what it says before reading. Now you're going to go through, if you haven't yet, what you do before you read. Now luckily, here at the beginning, I've got a video on that, and you're going to follow me in that video. You're going to have your book in hand, and you are going to go through the before reading with me, all right, in the novel. And then I actually get into the during reading part too, so I get you started. But before you read, set a purpose. Now take your word and either highlight or underline which one of these purposes that you are setting for yourself to read. Is it to learn course material? Probably not. Is it to predict test questions? Probably not. I'm just saying, but whatever your purpose is for this assignment, is it to practice new reading strategies? Yes, I would say most of you would put that this time anyway. You can do more than one purpose. But just make sure you highlight it or underline it. So when you start typing in these answers, if you could either make it really dark bold where it stands out, or a different color. Then before reading, you also need to get yourself prepared. So which during reading strategy are you planning on using? Is it stopping and monitoring your comprehension? Or is it looking up, vocabulary words? So you just need to write one that you're really going to focus on. Maybe it's one that you don't do very often, and you're like, I need to really practice this strategy, so I'm going to put it down and I'm going to focus on that strategy while I'm reading. So this is the before reading part. Not hard. It's not difficult. Students do perfectly well on this part. The during reading is the monitoring comprehension. Okay, now we're into the novel. Now we're reading. You're going to have so many questions that come up to your mind as you read. You're going to type these in as you're reading. So questions you had while reading, and it just says ask 5. So from pages 3 through 72, ask at least 5 questions should come up to your mind, but don't forget the page number. If you don't include a page number, that's a point off. If you don't include 5 questions, you're going to not get all your points. In order to get all your points, every blank needs to be filled in. So I have a question already. I mean, it's like, why is it called a glass castle? And that's just from the title. And of course, no, I don't like this. I want to change that font color. Yeah, I want to make it something else. Okay. And on this one, I'm going to put cover of the book. I should make it to where all my font is a different color here, so I don't have to keep doing that. But you get the point. You know, you might have a question on page 3. You know, what party is she going to? Just whatever questions come to mind, write them in and put the page number. All right, vocabulary. As you're reading this section, remember it only goes to page 72, type in 5 vocabulary words that you want to look up or that you came across that you didn't know what it meant. Okay? It's like, what is that word? I came across that. Someone go find me a synonym and I'm going to type it in here. What was it? What words did you have? Now, if you don't put in the synonym for it, then you're going to lose points. And by the way, let's say you knew what every single word was. And you say, you know, I'm leaving it blank because I know every one of those words. I don't have any problem. Well, if you want points, pick 5 words, okay, and put in a synonym, okay, even if you knew it. I just want to give you all your points. Don't leave any points left, you know, for you to not pick up. The next part, I will say that this is the not hardest for students, but the one that does require some thinking to happen. And these are the connections. Now, you've got to go through the reading strategies to really get this. That's why I say you got to do that first. But the text to self connections, you have 2 to make. Text to text connections, you have 2 to make. And text to world connections, you have 2 to make. Not 1, but 2 for each section. So text to self, you need both parts. What in the text reminded you of something to you? What in the text reminded you something about yourself when you were young or something you did? It doesn't have to be exactly when she is cooking at the stove. I can remember getting up and on a stool because I was always short and making a sandwich. That reminded, something in the text reminded me of something when I was young. So I'm going to type that in here and I'm going to put the page number of where this happened in the text, where it reminded me of something I did or something I saw or something similar. Make 2 of those. Those are the easiest for students. Text to text connection is something you read in the text reminded you of something you read in another book, or you read in another poem, or you saw on a movie, or you saw in a film, or you heard on a podcast, or you saw on TikTok, or you saw, you know. So this is something in the text that didn't happen to you, but you saw it, or you read it in another story. Okay? So there's 2 that you need to fill out there. And again, where it happened in the story that reminded you, you got to put the page number. That's why I say have this lit log open or write it in your notebook while you're reading, because if you're reading something on page 20 and you know your log is not in front of you, you're going to forget what page number, so make sure you're putting it in your notes or type it in. All right, then text to world. This is something that you read in the text, again, the novel, that reminded of you something out there in the world today. Do not be general. Be specific. Don't just say, well, they're homeless and there's poverty in the world. That's too general. You need a more specific connection. Now, if you cannot think of something in the world, then go ahead and go online and look up, you know, Google something, a news article, a specific story, and then include the link to where I can follow it. This one, out of the three, overall, students like the least. I'm just being honest, because they have to think big. You got to think about the world connection, or go find a link. If you are pulling this out from out there, you Googled it, and you've got to include the link to the website. Copy and paste that URL there so that I can hit it and follow it. Again, page numbers over here. Don't forget your page numbers, where this happened in the text that reminded you of something going on in the world. Beautiful writing. Surprisingly, most students like this one. What is your favorite quote from this section? Explain why. Don't just put in the quote, but tell me why you chose that quote and put the page number of the quote. All right, then this is the after reading section. Now, I know at the top I said this is after reading. Well, this is after reading, okay? So in reflecting on what you know about setting and how that affects characters and so forth, I included it's not my video, it's just a quick video, short video on setting from YouTube. So in reflecting on what you know about setting, that's the time period or where it takes place, choose a passage that you think really highlights the setting of this pages 3 through 72. What is one setting? Now, I know they keep moving around. I'm not saying do all those different settings, but just choose one setting. It could be about, the opening setting in New York City. And remember, setting is where the story's taking place, the location, and any details or descriptions you want to add about. So write a summary of that setting. So if I'm choosing page 3 setting, which will be in the video, I don't want to get into the novel too much. I don't want to go jump ahead of you. If I'm choosing that, I would just summarize where this is taking place. Oh, it's happening in New York City. There's steam coming up from the manholes. There's taxis and traffic. And, I might talk a little bit about that setting, and I would want to put the page number 3. Don't skip, don't leave it blank. But there's another section here. So 9 is big. There's a lot in 9. Then there's another question. How would you describe the mood created by the setting? How's the atmosphere? How's the mood? And what are some specific words in that passage that you indicate the mood of the setting and aid your visualizations? I just said a minute ago, like steam coming up from the manholes. That would be a good one. That's a good visualization. But so how do you think the setting is influencing the lives of the family, especially Jeanette? Now, it doesn't always have to be Jeanette specifically, but that she's the main, she's the author. It's her memoir. It's her story. But she talks a lot about the family. And then go on Google Images or, choose a picture. Don't draw one. I'm not asking you to draw a picture. Just insert a picture from the internet that relates to your chosen passage from above. Like I would type in that mood setting. I just type that in Google search and click images, and a bunch of images would pop up, and I would kind of pick the one, oh yeah, that kind of describes the mood, the setting I'm talking about. Students like that one. And then there's question 10. How did you accomplish your purpose for reading? So go back up here. Remember your purpose for reading? Maybe it was practice new reading strategies. How did you accomplish that? Oh, well, I stopped after every paragraph, every section or every page, and I asked myself, do I understand what I'm reading? So just put me in a sentence. Please, on number 9 too, I'm not asking for huge paragraphs. Just a couple sentences will do. And then number 11, emotional reaction to the text. You cannot read this story and not have some emotions? I just don't see how you can't. If you don't have any emotions there at all, then maybe you should talk to me or talk to somebody, because I think it's going to pull some emotions out of you. How did you feel when reading this section? You could say, I felt angry, and then say why you felt angry, or I felt sad, and say why you felt sad. So, you know, all those emojis on your texts, right? And you're always shooting your friends emojis, you know, surprised, shocked, you know, laughing hard, you know, LOL, right? So just think of an emotion that you went through, and this really for the entire section though, and why you felt that. Just one question there, and then one question here. How do you think the characters felt? Now we're talking about Jeanette or any of the characters, but overall, how do you think they felt in this section, and why? So we're pulling out emotions here. This is an emotional reaction to the text section. I'm going to close this. Don't forget to save that to your computer, by the way. You don't want to type in, you know, a few things on Friday, and then, you know, of course you're not finished, and then you come back to it on Sunday or Monday, and you try to type in more, and you didn't save it, and you lost all the stuff you put in there. So that's happened to students more than once. Let me show you my example. So I included a little example for you. I didn't include everything, but you can kind of see one that's semi-filled out. I kind of quit filling it out down here. Like the text-to-text could be a TV show too. Some students, for some reason, are saying the character Rex reminds them of the dad in the show Shameless, because they both, and then they say why. Oh yeah, you got to make sure you tell why. All right, you know, why does that remind you of Rex? You can look at that example on your own time. I just kind of put it on there so you can get an idea of what it looks like. Every single literature log, this is literature log 1, it'll have different pages, is the same. They're all the same except for that question number 9. It changes. So this time it's on setting. Next time it might be on a different literary device, but this time it's on setting. The rest of all the other questions remain the same. If you get down literature log 1, the rest will be easier, except for number 9. It will change.